This is Damon from NLP Gym. I just finished the workshop NLP Values Elicitation and Hypnotic Installation. And I have a clip here from a story that I'm telling about the importance of association and disassociation and how we delete the necessary information and resources from ourselves which create problems. Enjoy. It's really hard to, when you have students break out and try re-imprinting the first time, it's usually not done correctly. You kind of haphazard, it's sloppy, and it's really important to get every step of that correct, because if you don't, then you can often leave a person in the past and, or with some unresolved stuff. And that's very much how I felt when we were done. They gave us like an hour and a half. There were 3 of us. I wanted to do it. I wanted to be the explorer. And by the end of it, I felt like some stuff had come up and some things had been resolved, but there was still a lot that was missing. I went to Robert after class and I said, I don't think this full thing went through. And so he said, okay, well, what's the situation? And I said, okay, I'm like 3-4 years old. I can feel a hand on my shoulder from behind me. It's my father. I'm running away from him. He's upset. I don't know why, and I'm just trying to get away. And when his hand on me feels like he's losing control. He's actually afraid of his own anger. And he said, what is the resource? And I think if I remember correctly, I have this all written in the article, but the resource was just to be myself, just to be okay with being myself. He said, are you hearing anything? And I said, no, there's no audio. And he goes, there's audio. And he said, what are you hearing? And I really had to focus, and this is a part of being really associated, and allow the audio to come in. And I heard my father say, you're not going anywhere. And he had his hand on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And he said, now bring in the resource and give it to your father and give it to you. And I did that, and he said, now what do you hear? And suddenly I felt his hand push me and say, you can go anywhere. And it was like, just like this huge sort of breakthrough, and like I melted down for a few minutes. And that was, it was an imprint where a limiting belief had formed around us, that I was limited by what I could do, where I could go, and it was formed out of this experience. But bringing in the resource, now it was, the belief changed, and now it's not, you're not going anywhere, it's you can go anywhere. And I actually literally felt the push on my back to move forward. Fully associating into the situation, you have to check in with those things. Are you bringing in all of the representational systems? Because if you're not, and if they're not aligned, a lot of times that's where the problem is. You're not connecting with a solution or a resource because you're not fully in that situation.
So if you don't have all the representational systems represented, and you're not seeing through your own eyes, hearing through your own ears,
that's often the problem.
Then that's the place you want to get to.
Yeah, and sometimes that alone, just bringing that in, suddenly you connect with what was missing. You connect. It's almost like your mind is looping because it's telling you something's not right, something is unresolved, there's something you're not connecting with, and it will keep looping in you until it gets through. I'll give you a good example. After that happened, I started to play around with people would come in and they would tell me, I'd say, do you have anything that's just recurring, looping, dreams or anything like that? And so they would start telling me about it, and I would listen to them, and I would notice what representational system they were leaning on primarily, and which one they were deleting. And then I would tell them to tell me the story again, and this time focus on the representational system that they were deleting and tell it through that. And I'd say, it's okay if you use the other ones, that's fine. Just make sure that your focus is, if they were deleting auditory, I want to know everything that you heard. And they get really slow as they try to tell the story because they're not used to bringing in that representational system. And then usually, something happens and the loop is broken. As I was playing with this and sort of coming up with the process, I was at the health certification training that Tim and Chris Hallam do. And during the lunch break, they would ask if anyone wants to do a presentation. And so I was signing up for every single one of them. They wouldn't give me every single lunch. Sometimes there was nobody giving a presentation. They were just like, look, Damon, we know you're really excited. We know you want to talk about this stuff. But I just, even though no one else is doing it, we just think that we should probably not do as many presentations. So, fine, fair enough. but I did get an opportunity to demonstrate this process. And the volunteer, he was 70 years old, and this recurring memory had been plaguing him since he was like 12. And it was about, he thought his mother had told him his father had died, like when he was a very little kid, and that he'd never met his father. Well, he has this memory of pulling up to a store. His mother is driving him, pulls up to a store, and the mother goes in the store. She comes out, and she's crying, and she says, he's like, "What happened?" And she said, "Your father died." And he says, "Well, I know my father's been dead." And she said, "No, your real father just died. You never met him." And he had a hard time with this because his father was alive until he was 12 years old, and he never met him, and he could have met him. His mother knew, was in touch with him. She was in touch with his family, and he never got that opportunity. He's 70 years old, and he's still being plagued by this memory. And I forget which one he deleted out. It was either the visual or the auditory. I think it was the visual. And we had him run through it, and suddenly he just had a full-on meltdown right there. I wasn't expecting that, but he was like the perfect demonstration subject because it came full-on, and it broke that loop, and it was done. And he was just like, "I can't believe that just happened." He's like, "I've been carrying this around since I was 12. He's been carrying it around for 58 years, and suddenly it was resolved." And he kept coming back to me throughout the day, and he's like, "This thing really stuck. Like, it's working." And I was like, "Yeah, it should." And he was like, "I'm having all the there's so much that was being withheld from him internally, like resources and love and all these things." And it came rushing back, and he was just, for the rest of the day, it was like these insights were just pouring in, and it's one of those things that
And that was all perceptual positional.
I wasn't using really specifically perceptual position alignment. What I was focusing on was would people delete out a representational system, but it works the same way. If something's not aligned, if something's missing, and this is a problematic memory or something that's causing a problem, a lot of times it's because something's not aligned, you're deleting something out, and that deletion is the solution. And as soon as you bring it back in, you're full and whole again, and there's no more problem. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the workshop. If you haven't already, please check out our website, nlp-gym.com. Follow us on Facebook for real-time updates on upcoming workshops and free practice sessions. More importantly, check out the Ultimate NLP Practitioner Training coming up in January. You don't want to miss this. If you like this video, please click like right down here and leave me a comment or a question. I will follow up with you. Stay tuned to the end of this video so you can get your hands on a free NLP online training. Take care.